The first thing I realized from our guest, Mr. Stan, I love his watch. I'm not even going to change anything else. I love the watch.
Yes.
And number two,
Yeah.
he's very active. He said it so nicely. He says, I can't just sit still.
Yeah.
I'm active. Meaning this topic we're going to talk about now is going to be very expressive.
And then on the line, we also have Dr. Mathebula. He's making a second appearance. And I know you are very disappointed that he's not here. You cannot see him, but I'm sure you will be happy to hear his voice.
You're right. I am happy to hear the voice, but I really wanted him to be here.
Yeah, no, this sort of things happen, but he will explain as we speak to him. But Mr. Dr. Mathebula, good afternoon. We are very well. We are here at VMC Planet Radio. We are with Mr. or Pastor Manzini right here. Pastor Manzini, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, sir?
We very well. The voice you heard, Dr. Mathebula, is the voice of Pastor Manzini.
Pastor Manzini, how are you, Pastor Manzini?
I'm doing great, and how are you, Dr. Mathebula?
I'm fine. I'm very well.
The interesting thing about Pastor Manzini is that he's not even wearing earphones. People that have never been interviewed on radio. And the earphones are right here next to him. I don't know whether he hates them. I think he likes the microphone better than he likes the earphones.
I'm a preacher, sir.
You see, he says he's a preacher, so he's not used to. So we're going to just ask you to put the earphones so that at least you can be able to hear Dr. Mathebula from that other side. Dr. Mathebula, unfortunately...
I'm glad that Pastor Manzini is a preacher.
Yes.
I'm not a preacher, I'm a teacher, because there's a difference between teaching and preaching. Preaching proclaims and teaching explains.
Absolutely.
And then Pastor Manzini goes into proclaim.
So which is why we wanted the two of you together here at VMC Planet Radio, so that we talk about issues that relate to social ills, issues that relate to grooming these young, especially male, to become responsible adults and be responsible people when they grow up.
Yeah, no. I think that's a very interesting topic. And I think it puts us to the definition of education. Education is the process of bringing a child into proper adulthood. And that's education. Because once you're done your job as a society or as a parent or all socialization, you are socializing agencies, you are going to have a provider. Now the problem with our society, we don't socialize our children well, that's why they end up not being proper.
Exactly. You see, for both Dr. Mathebula and Pastor Manzini, I will start with Pastor Manzini because it's the first time that he has been here. So that he actually come and visit us. At least you've been here. Pastor Manzini, I nearly called you Pastor Madini, Yeah. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself? Briefly.
Okay. Thank you for having me here, Mr. Stan. And before I even just briefly tell you about myself, I was so looking forward to meeting with Dr. Mathebula here.
Okay.
One of the reasons is because Ababa Mathebula Abosbari. My sister, the one I come after, she's married at the Mathebula, so my nephews and my nieces are Mathebulas.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but hopefully we will meet in the near future, Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pastor Manzini. I'm also looking forward to meeting.
Thank you, sir. So, Pastor Manzini, my name is actually Erasmus Manzini, by surname Mr. Stan. So I'm from the East Rand, a very small area in the East Rand called Mapleton, extension 12. And I'm from a church called Glory Christian Church. Lead pastor, Mr. Funyu or Pastor Funyu, all the way from Davidton. And basically, and accountant by profession, with one wife, of course. You know, it's very important that you mention that in South Africa. And blessed with 3 kids, and Miso, Bunke, and Manzipiwe.
Yeah. Now let's look at the influence of technology and social media in the times that we are actually finding ourselves in. What are your views on using social media platform to actually spread the gospel?
So, I think it's a good thing. One of the things that Jesus said when he was about to depart, he said, "Go ye thee and preach unto the world." So, if you look into the time that we are living in, I mean, times evolve. And we are living, of course, in the time of social media, fourth industrial revolution, and the powerful tool that we have at our disposal, it's social media, be it Facebook, you name them. What's that? Facebook, WhatsApp.
Yeah,
I mean,
Twitter,
YouTube,
Google Meet,
you know,
all of those social media platforms. Yes.
And I mean, it's a great tool. Somebody said social media it's actually a gold mine to those who know how to harness its power and achieve their desirable goals. So if your desirable goal or your desired goal is to get your message across to as many as you can, like I mentioned earlier, that Jesus said we should go and preach to the world, we should go and preach to the multitude, we should go and preach to the communities. And you know, I'm glad that this interview, or rather the question that you're asking it at the right time, where we just had a pandemic and we were on lockdown, at a time where we were unable to go and gather in numbers. So that's where you could see that social media is a great tool, a powerful tool that helped us to stay connected, and not just connected, but to get messages across, being it preaching, being it business-wise, and everything else.
You know, Dr. Mathebula,
I
your views on social media, you know, and also taking into account something that you and I had a conversation about, relating to, you know, having this connection, but we are not so well connected. What is your view on using social media platform to spread the gospel?
Well, it's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. You know, when you look at, people such as Paul used to write letters to the church. That was the only medium that was available then.
Okay, yes.
There was no telephone, he had to communicate through letter writing. Now, God would actually, technology comes from God. It doesn't come from man. God, inspires, he inspires them to have, this technology. Now, social media has been brought about by God. And his intention is for that media to be used to each and every, nook and cranny of the world to spread the gospel. Now, in other words, I'm actually saying that what you have at your disposal, as long as it's a communication media, that media can spread the gospel. As Paul did, at his disposal, yes, he only had to write letters, and that's what he did. But now, if I have a Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, whatever social media that I have, I can use it for the gospel. Now, my view is, social media is from God, and it must be used to the advancement of His kingdom.
So, which is actually because we are living in the times where it is required that we look into our lives differently from how we have been living all those other years that have gone by.
Yeah, for example, I'm actually Pastor Manzini talking about the lockdown. It has actually exposed the church. Like there are some churches that are wayward, that are focusing on tradition. And then they've never paid attention to technology. And then those churches have been exposed now. Because they can't actually communicate with their members. Why? Because there's no technology to communicate with the members. And then we don't know how long will the lockdown last. Like, for example, we are now at level 2. And then we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the virus will actually research again. We don't know. We don't know what will actually happen. And those churches now, are in a very awkward position because they can't actually communicate with their members. And that's the problem.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. Like, there's Christian values and there's worldly values, right? So Christian values could be seen as kindness, respect, humanity, humility, honesty, generosity, and some of the values are taught within us from the Bible, these ones that I spoke about, but worldly values are always glamorized to look attractive over Christian values. And if you look at the worldly values, they're always at the best, maybe the biggest drivers of social illnesses, such as corruption, crime, and immoralities. But what roles does Christianity need to play to address social illness?
Yeah, I don't know whether the question is directed to me or to Pastor Manzini, but
To both of you. To both of you, yes.
One from the teacher, one from the preacher.
Yeah.
I think the Christian values were articulated by Paul in Galatians 5, verse 22, where we spoke about the fruit of the Spirit. Those fruit of the Spirit were Christian values. And now we have also spoken about the question of corruption. As Christians, how do we deal with the question of corruption? The thing is, the scriptures must be relevant to the time. For example, the scripture about Zacchaeus, I think we know about that scripture. The man, who was short, where the short, stature. And when Jesus saw him, Jesus commanded him to climb down the tree. That guy was, Zacchaeus was, he was a tax collector and he was corrupt. And he was hated in his own community. And when he saw Jesus, he was changed. And he said to Jesus, "Look, Lord, whatever I've done in the past, I've been corrupt." He admitted that he has been corrupt. And then he says, "If ever I've taken something from you fraudulently, I'm going to pay fourfold, going beyond the Mosaic law." And then he says, "And whatever I have, maybe 50% of my assets, I'm going to give to the poor." And to me, I think it's something that scripture, as South Africans, we need to, ponder on that scripture. Why? Because it addresses our current situation.
Yes.
If I were to write another book now, my book would be the Zacchaeus effect. The Zacchaeus effect simply means that, there are so many people who have especially stolen money from the government. There are
Yes.
so many, we read about corruption in the life. And then what I'm suggesting is, those people, let us not condemn them. We are always talking about those people must go to jail and what. I don't think that's the Christian approach. Those people must be encouraged, like Zacchaeus, to bring back what they've stolen from the government. And that if they see the need for poverty, such people must actually contribute towards poverty. Look at the jails. Our prisons are full. People who take each other as a corrupting person to prison. So it's not going to be sustainable. And what I'm saying to you is, we have to address corruption the Christian way, you know, and urge, you know, those people who have been corrupt to give back to the community. That's my view about the whole thing.
All right.
I think.
Okay. Does glamour play a role in what people value most, Pastor Manzini?
So before I jump into that one, I'm liking the verse he quote on, and what Dr. Mathebula said, that you know, as the Christian community, we are not there to pass judgment. We are not there to say or rather kill, but a church is also not just church, but is there to also rehabilitate. I mean, as he's talking about Zacchaeus, it's coming to my mind. It's something that never came to my mind. When he started talking about Zacchaeus, I just remembered that I think you were on church that day. I preach about this, but it's something that it's a revelation which I never got before, and I think something was revealed instantly as he was talking or making the example about Zacchaeus, that you know Jesus passing there and saying to Zacchaeus, come down from the tree. That means Zacchaeus got rehabilitated just instantly. Okay, yes. And it's something that we need to learn and grab as a church, that we're not just, you know, a church to preach salvation only, or rather to preach, which is good, to preach the gospel of Jesus, to teach it and everything, but we also need to look at a church from the perspective of rehabilitating the community or those that needs to be rehabilitated.
And then with regards to, you know, the glamour, the role that it plays in what people value the most.
So I think it's an interesting question as well, and as much as it differs from person to person, but I think in South Africa, I think let me say statistically, a year or two ago, people were more into glamour, but slowly but surely, people are beginning to understand better a value.
Like values, instead of maybe just glamorizing everything else and make it about the word that I want to use, because we tend to sensationalize things, right? And anything that is glamorized, people find it actually attractive. But which leads us to the other question. Dr. Mathebula, is there a difference between religion and Christianity? Is there a difference between religion and Christianity?
Interesting one, eh?
Well, I think those are semantics, because you see, Christianity is a religion.
Yes.
Well, when I say Christianity is a religion, Islam is a religion, you know, Buddhism is a religion, Hinduism is a religion, you know. Now, what I'm saying is Christianity itself is a religion.
Yes, I agree, Doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Dr. Mathebula, Pastor Manzini wants to interject.
Yes. Just building on what you're saying, Doctor. I like what you mentioned, that Christianity does not punish us, and I liked what you said when you started talking about the issue of religion and Christianity, and that is why I nodded and I added to say absolutely you are correct to say that Christianity is also a religion. So like what you said, I also expected the question to be, what separates Christianity from other religions? And like I'm saying, one of the powerful things that you mentioned, that Christianity does not punishes, hence you find other religions that punishes when you commit a certain way of doing things which is not permitted by that particular religion. And one of the things that I've noted with other religions is that other religions teaches us or teaches a person to end their way to the gods of that particular religion. And I mean, in Christianity, it's the only religion that teaches us that God, which whom is Jesus, who was sent on earth, he came for us. And I mean, other religions have systems and rules in place that you have to do or perform to appease the gods. And it's just that I do not want to mention them by name, because it will now sound like you attacking, but we are not. We're just looking at what separates Christianity from other religions. And one thing that I can also add on there is that in all the other religions that I have come to know, Christianity, it's one religion that actually has an empty tomb. I mean, if we read the Bible, we know that Jesus died and he rose. And you've got other religions that the tombs has bodies that were buried there. Like I said, I don't want to mention them by names, because we do not want this to come as if we are attacking, but we just showing or rather coming up to say what differentiates Christianity from other religions.
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is just a different question, Mr. Stan. I think now looking at it from a youth perspective, peer pressure wise, which is regarded as a strong desire to fit in with peers in order to be accepted, and occurs when a group of people concise each other to go along with certain beliefs or behaviors. But my question is, how important is it for parents to equip their children with the skills needed with dealing with peer pressure? Especially
I think, well, I don't know whether Father Mathebula will actually take that.
Now you can go on, it's fine.
Firstly, whatever you do, you must look at the consequences of your actions. For example, if the Bible says sex before marriage is forbidden, you might actually think that, no, you know what, you think, these guys are out of their mind. But let me tell you what will happen. You might actually end up having a girlfriend now, you sleep with her, and you render her pregnant, and then you break up. Now, at the end of the day, you have to support the child, and then you meet another woman, you get married, and those things are going to create, problems throughout your life. God is going to forgive you for that, but you are going to have a problem in terms of consequences. And let me give you another example. Let's say, for example, you have got children with different women, and you haven't married them. And then finally, you come across the woman that you want to marry. Imagine now you have got 2 kids. Now it means that now you have to start a family. You have to divide your salary into 2. You need to look after the other kids, and you have to look, after your own kids and your own wife. And those issues are creating problems, in our family. And Pastor Manzini will actually tell you that when he deals with counseling, the problem that is, difficult to deal with is the question of reconstituted families, whereby the woman has got kids, and the man has got kids, and then you come together, and then you try to establish a family. That problem will persist. But as you waited, you will be experiencing the same problem. I don't know what Pastor Manzini will do, but I know that in counseling, those are the issues that they are dealing with.
Pastor Manzini?
Yes, that's very true, Doctor. So hence it's I think I don't know what to say, but and I don't know how these guys came about with such interesting questions, but I must say that well done, guys. And I think these are very crucial questions that we really need to address as the community. These are the kind of questions that we need to start talking about in the corridors, in our offices, at home, because it's very crucial. I mean, there's a lot of dangers to add on what Doctor has talked about. Dangers of peer pressure. And one of the things that he already touched on, which is having to deal with a couple that now they got kids out of wedlock, and so forth, and it's very true, Doctor. Doing counseling of such instances, it's one of the difficult things to actually deal with.
Now, okay, in the interest of time, it's exactly 17:10 right here at VMC Planet Radio. The young ones' visions call it says it's 10:05.
Yes, it is 10:05.
It's 10:05. Now, the issue of youth and gratification, Dr. Mathebula, without quoting anybody, does the modern, I'm happy because I'm going to use both the two words, preaching and teaching of the word. Does it emphasize on the power of God's time?
No, I understand this thing of, this is gratification. Where you actually push a button and everything happens. What I can say to you is that I think we need to learn that in life, people must actually work hard. And the example that I gave, I think when you read my book, I gave an example of Jacob. When he had to start from scratch, he worked for 7 years, he had to work for another 7 years. In other words, there's nothing that you are going to get that is worthwhile in life without hard work. There's no substitute for hard work. Whether we talk about technology, whether we talk about social change, whether we talk about hard work is hard work. There's no substitute for hard work.
Exactly.
And that's the problem that we have even in the corporate environment. People want to join an organization, and all of a sudden, they want to be a basic manager. They don't even want to learn. Like when you go into an organization, you need to learn the ropes. Like I'm in the railway industry, you are also in the railway industry. You need to learn the ropes. You need to understand the basics, what is actually happening. You can't actually come today and tomorrow you are an executive manager. The same applies to spirituality. I think Dr. Mathebula will actually agree with me. You can't actually go to the Bible school and after 3 years now you say you Pastor Mathebula, you want to be a bishop, you want to be the church. There are so many things that you have to learn. And that's something that's actually killing our society. I'm not against affirmative action. I've been one candidate, an affirmative action candidate. But what we need to learn, the ropes. This thing of shortcuts is not going to take us anywhere.
All right, same question, Dr. Manzini.
Yes.
You see, now I'm prophesying, I'm calling you doctor.
Thank you for that, Mr. Stan. So so one of the things that you also wanted to know there is if it emphasizes on the power of God's time, especially in the youth of today, which I think also it takes us back to our first point where we were talking about the power of social media. There's one of the things that Dr. Mathebula mentioned was ignorant churches, where you have churches which were ignorant, not looking into the power of social media, and they were later exposed because we could not go and meet in churches because of the lockdown. So I think it's time where churches need to take the stand and make use of these social medias, because like you said, that we live in a time of the youth of today, they just want to press the button time and again. They have their phones, their iPhones, iPad in their hand. So for us to be able to reach, I mean if you look into the corporate space, like Dr. mentioned, I like the corporate space because the corporate space always want to take advantage of what is available at that particular time. If you look at corporate space, all the time now they are sitting and saying, okay, because of the pandemic, what do we do? Okay, let's do what you call Teams, Skype. You know, they make sure so that they stay relevant and connected. But what does churches do? And I think by being ignorant, and then in the way or along the way, then we tend to use or rather to lose the youth, because I mean they will then get bored. They don't have. I mean if you look at newspapers, I don't think you've got anyone less than 20 years going to buy a newspaper. They get all the news from the social media. So now, if you then expect a young person to give God's time by always having the time to go to church and sit and listen to the teachings and the preachings, or having to sit and read the black book, which is the Bible. Some they call it a black book. But I mean, if we avail these teachings, we share these verses, we use the power of social media, and then in that way, I think somehow it will force them, or rather create the space for them to also have God's time.
It's VMC Planet Radio. You are chilling with Mr. Stan and Vision right here at VMC Planet Radio. The show is called Second to None. It's exactly 17:16. As we wrap up, what is the last question you want to ask Vision?
The last question. Okay.
Stan, before you can ask, I just wanted to enhance what actually Pastor Manzini said. You know, in Revelation, John says, I saw a new heaven and a new earth. And there was no sea. You know, that's what he said, John, the Revelator. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about, what John saw is where we are currently in. And sea, when he says there's no sea, in other words, there are no longer boundaries. The boundaries have been broken down. And then you can talk to any person anywhere, be it in America, be it anywhere, WhatsApp and the like. And then I think we need to understand that scripture and say the boundaries have been broken. The sea that used to separate us is no longer there.
Exactly.
The sea that used to separate us from preaching the word of God and actually still taken, it's no longer there. Now, I think John the Revelator, when he says the sea is no longer there, he was actually talking about the barriers have been removed. And when the barriers have been removed, we need to take advantage of the situation. I wanted to enhance, what Pastor Manzini was saying.
No, thank you so much. Again, we I think we should also make a date, even if it's next month or in the next 2 months, for you to come at the studio, and then we also invite Pastor Manzini, because I think the time that we have is so short and so limited, and this is a very interesting conversation that we are having. Maybe as we wrap up, Vision is going to ask a question, and maybe we can be able to make it a bit short.
Okay, my question is to Pastor Manzini and Dr. Mathebula. From a biblical point of view, does the initiative of taking a girl child to work not marginalize the boy child?
Well, that's why it's not a biblical, decision. That has been a human decision. And my view is, when you socialize children, we need to socialize them equally.
Okay.
And we need, we need to balance, everything, in our society. The question of over accentuating the girl child over a boy child, or a boy child over a girl child, I don't think biblical.
No. I think, Dr. Mathebula, the reason why we basically are asking that question, which saying because from a biblical point of view, everyone has to actually be equal. But we are asking you a question as to maybe from a biblical point of view, in your view, do you think that works? Because a lot of other social ills are that perhaps a young boy might find himself or might feel a bit emasculated if he's not being looked after. Nobody says anything about him. Perhaps because of time, we couldn't really expand on the question.
You know what, man? I think it's a question that needs more time.
Yes.
But I don't think Jesus, whenever you look at children, you look at children, not boys or girls. You know? And then I think we need to take that thing into account. Because at the moment, like for example, the social thing, women empowerment and the like, and that time we get carried away about those things. And my view is, let us get your equal equality, let us actually balance the whole thing. You know, the same applies to us black women, black people. You know, if you want to be equal to white people, you need to show that. For example, when I go out with a white cafe, I pay the bill. You know why I'm paying the bill? So that they can actually understand that I'm also equal to him. You know? But if I don't pay the bill and I want the white cafe to pay for me, then I'll never be equal to you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Manzini.
Yes, I like that, Doctor. You actually reminded me of this other lady who said that I think 10 years back, I think it was in 2010, he said that, but because of time, I think we will expand on this one of the good days if we are able to meet again. But yeah, I like what you said that you know, when Jesus was talking about kids, he did not really look at a boy or a girl. And also this also goes back to you know, teaching, and also, like I'm saying, that it's a topic where we need to really have time and expand on. But it goes back to teaching. Teachings are very powerful, and also look at how did the initiative of taking a girl child came about. And if I have a girl child and a boy child at home, when I'm taking the girl child to work, to fulfill the or to act on the initiative, do I then explain and teach the boy and the girl as to why am I taking the girl child? And also the initiative does not really stop you from taking the boy child as well. I mean, I take my kids to the office, both of them, anytime, if I know that, because they can be very disturbing at times, but when I know that I'm not too busy. And I mean, so, you know, but also, like I'm saying, when we have the time, we just need to firstly maybe unpack as to how did the initiative come about, because there's a reason. But because of time, well, we cannot really touch much onto that. But what I can just mention is just to look at, you know, the cultural ways or the background where we come from. So one of the things that made the company, if I may not mention the company name, that came out with the initiative was just to boost the self-esteem of a girl as they grow into being a woman, because of the eras and the cultures of where we come from.
Thank you so much, Pastor Manzini and Dr. Mathebula. Dr. Mathebula, it's always nice talking to you.
No, thanks, man, and thanks for the invitation, and thanks for Pastor Manzini. I'm looking forward to meeting him face to face.
Absolutely, sir. Same here. And unfortunately, I cannot say the same to Mr. Stan, that it's a pleasure talking to him. It's always I don't know. I don't even have a word for it, but yeah.